Y'all, it's me back with another video. I'm at the house of refutation. I don't know, but it's like a house that was like built a long time ago, and it's like haunted.
Look at that rock there, the Anastasia rock there. You can imagine Don Pedro Gilbert hanging up his lanterns and placing those ships to come in.
Okay, so it's like haunted, and ship crashes. Like people from it who used to get dragged up show would come here, and it's a haunted house. So yeah, let's go in. I'm scared. It's the oldest house in Martin County. Right now I'm on vacation.
Just 100 yards off of our front porch. The ship was carrying mahogany wood from Pensacola to Buenos Aires. Now, I don't know how it got involved being this far south on the East Coast, but it did. It was carrying mahogany wood, and there is, in the kitchen, you'll see an ironing board made from that wood. Now, there was also 7 shipwreck survivors that were housed up in the upper dormers of the house there and nursed to health until they could make it back to civilization. And this is a National Historic Dive Site. The hull of the ship is still out there. So you may see today people with their dive flags up. You could even swim. It's only 100 yards out to this wreck. And check it out. Yes. But remember, sharks. Visitors for you.
Oh,
thank you.
Oh, lovely. Well, this has been a great conversation with you, right? Small world. Small world, right?
Guys, for a tour. Welcome.
You
Are you guys all together?
Stop in.
To be in hurry on the
Good luck.
Thank you.
Getting back home. Yes.
What's that? Yes.
It's a head count.
You just wish you'd have a little heads up so you don't have to spend your hours in the airport.
Yeah.
That's a big search has been from the West End Power.
Yeah.
Not exactly.
It's just like
My husband got, my husband got stuck up in Chicago for the weekend, but I have to work. I am up. Yes. Thank you, ladies.
Lovely people.
All right.
A tour.
Safe travels. All right. Come on out. We'll come on out to the show. The star of the place.
Yeah, we'll follow you.
Okay. We're gonna go up on the porch there.
oh god, I'm scared. Walking chair. Excuse me.
Shop was built in 1935 by
1935. This house is not bad in like the
This
18th.
is
Like
the
18th
star of the
century.
show. The house itself, built in 1876, finished in 1876. The oldest structure in Martin County. Are you guys visiting, or you live in the area? Okay. Okay. All right. Where are you visiting from? Tampa. All right. Well, welcome. Yeah. Go. Yeah. If you want to have a seat, you can have a seat in the chairs. Take as many pictures as you like. The main floor. Have you ever been to the floor? Years ago. Okay. The main house is open, but the main level. Upstairs and downstairs is closed, but we've got some damage down in the basement, so that's why it's closed. Now the third structure was built in World War II, 1942. The U.S. Navy quarters had to be built to house the officer that was here, separate from the enlisted men. So
This is creepy.
there are
It's like
several
walking,
eras
and I'm
to
not
this
even
place.
walking. I'm
Of
not
course,
even
dating
moving.
back thousands of
That's
years,
not the office
millions
I'm not
maybe.
even moving.
The
That's
Anastasia
walking.
rock that's out there.
It's a haunted
It
house.
makes it a very unique property. We have 16 acres here. The Anastasia rock really juts out here and makes it a very beautiful property. Now, what else was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. So, 10 of the houses of refuge were built along the eastern seaboard of Florida, from Daytona Beach down to Biscayne Bay. The other 9 we lost to fires and hurricanes. This is the only one surviving. We would have lost it. The Coast Guard almost and it's also resistant to termites. So thankfully, we have it now. Still, it's here for future preservation. 1876 to 1915, keepers were employed by the U.S. Life Saving Service. They were paid $400 a year. And then towards the end, 1915, when the Coast Guard took over, they were making $600 a year. But they stayed 2 or 3 years. It's very isolated here, as you can imagine. It's a barrier island, no fresh water, and the sea graves, especially small. They were overgrown, the island was, with sea graves and palm trees and all kinds of stuff. So this was the only building for miles and miles around. Jupiter Lighthouse was built in 1860, so about 60 years before this one was built. Now, what they did, the houses of refuge were that houses of refuge. They did not go out looking for survivors like other life-saving stations did. No, what would happen is the ships that were along the Gulf Stream would sometimes be blown by winds or whatever, and waves, and they would get struck on the reef or rock and then shipwrecked. And if you were lucky, you made it to shore. So the keepers were instructed to patrol the shoreline after every storm, and that's where they would find shipwrecked survivors and then bring them in here to let them rehabilitate until they could be sent to their country. Now, in 1915, the Coast Guard took over, and they patrolled during World Wars I and II. They patrolled the beaches on horseback. Now, unbeknownst to a lot of people, there were German U-boats right offshore, all up and down the eastern seaboard of the U.S. as well as the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean. What were they doing? They were torpedoing ships that were taking supplies over to Great Britain in the early years of the war. And actually, one of the freighters that they torpedoed, the residents of Jupiter and Stewart rescued them. And a local journalist was involved with that rescue, wrote of the story. It was censored by
I want to
the
go
US government
in.
for many years because the U.S. government was afraid the citizenry would be in hysterics that there were Germans right offshore. Now, after World War II,
There's a boat.
the house was decommissioned as a Coast Guard station, and Martin County bought it in 1955 for the sum of
It's called rough.
changed to dollars an acre or 60 years. Yes, yeah. So, prime beachfront property set aside for future generations to come. If you can find a parking space, it's free to go out on the beach. The only part we ask is to preserve it. Now, Martin County brought in artists and residents for a while, but we went from saving lives of people to saving lives of turtles. We ran a research center here.
Yeah, I remember.
Before
So-
Oceanographic down the street or Loggerhead in Jupiter, or anywhere else for that matter.
It was a
The
turtle
research
house
was done
after
here in
the
conjunction
thing,
with the
and now
Department
it's
of
just
Natural
a tuba
Resources in
house.
Florida. We kept a large turtle named Captain Louie there in that cistern. And behind the Navy quarters, that's where we kept the hatchlings. And another unique feature of this property, this house, is we have a basement. And the basement had tanks in it, and that's where they kept the other turtles. School children from the area would come out and help out with the turtle rescue.
When I was a little kid, I used to come here. They still have turtles.
Okay,
2 or 3,
great.
yeah.
Okay. So now
Oh
you can
my
actually
God,
get
Dad.
married here. We do have several events a year, but you can get married in front of the tower on the north side of the beach, and then you can set up your reception here. The tower is a replica. It's not original, but it's a pattern after World War II. By the way, you can look it up any day of the week. There's a webcam there, and you can see what the surf conditions are. So why don't we go ahead and go in the house, and then we'll learn a little bit more. Afterwards, when we're done with the tour, you can go in the Navy quarters. There's a looping video with more information and some more artifacts in there.
Like this one.
But let's go in the house. During the keepers' time, like I said, they lived on the main level. There's 4 rooms here. This would have been, this first room would have been
Excuse
the bedroom.
me?
And then there's the parlor, the dining room, and the kitchen. they kept supplies upstairs. When the Coast Guard moved in 1915, they expanded upstairs and put the little windows that you see facing the ocean and the lagoon, and that's where the Coast Guard bunked. Now, we do have a wreck. It's a Florida archaeological site just offshore, 100 yards out. You can snorkel it on a good day. It sits in about 20 to 25 feet of water. The wreck of the Valentine, that's what it's about. They were carrying lumber, and a lot of that lumber was salvaged, and some of the buildings were built up lumber over at Sewell's Point, just across the lagoon there. Yeah. So a unique feature of this, Mr. Ray was the keeper during that wreck, and Mrs. Ray, their family donated her Victorian mourning wreath that you see over there. That's made out of her hair. And they say she still haunts the place because, hey, her DNA is here, so here we go. Yeah, so back in the Victorian era, they did lots of
Oh
artwork.
my god, that's actually so cool.
And in fact, I had a lady here this morning that said that she had a necklace
Is this a toilet?
one of her relatives had given her with hair, made a necklace out of hair. And so, yeah, that's another thing that they did. So the furniture is period furniture. Because the house changed hands so many times, we don't have any original furniture. But this would have looked, similar to what it would have been set up. And then, if you were shipwrecked, these signs were posted every once in a while, showing how far away the nearest house was. This is just a replica. So if you did get washed up on the shore, you could find your way to the nearest house if you could make it.
Excuse me?
Yes, this would have been the parlor. Now, I don't know if you saw the sign out there. If you looked online, it does say the House of Refuge at Gilbert's Bar. Let's get a little time frame here. 1846, Florida became a state, but that time, our Native Americans that were here in this area were the Ies tribe, not the Seminoles. But the Seminoles came later, and the Ies tribe actually disappeared. Some of the Seminoles married into the various tribes along the southeastern part of Florida, but there's really kind of hardly any trace of them anymore. Now, the Ies lived in this area, and we had a pirate named Don Pedro Gilbert. We have maps dating back to the 1820s and 30s saying Gilbert's Bar. It's a rock. Gilbert was able to go over his rock because he had a flat bottom.
Some of
boat
this
named
is
the
original,
Panda.
not all of it.
Our
though.
pirate story. Okay, Don Pedro was a very nefarious pirate.
Wait,
And what
is
he would
this?
do is light fires on the beach. Hutchinson Island, legend has it, it was one of his many haunts. And he would light fires on the beach. The ships out in the Gulf Stream would see those fires. That was an indication of distress. And they would try to come in, get dashed on the reef or the rocks. And then Don Pedro would sail out, board the ships, tie them in, torture the crew until they told him where the booty was, and then set the ship on fire. No witnesses. And ironically enough, an American ship named the Mexican left to sail to Massachusetts without checking their cannonballs. And their cannonballs did not fit their cannons. And they got lured in with Don Pedro's scheme somewhere along the way. But they were able to get untied. And a couple of guys were, and free the rest of the men were put out fire, sailed back to
There's a
Salem,
basement
alert
that
the
closed,
authorities.
and then the upstairs
At
closed.
which point, the U.S. and the British sent their navies over to Africa
The
because
basement.
Double Trouble, he was a slave runner as well as a pirate. And they brought him back to justice in Boston, tried and hanged at the age of 36, in what is known as the last pirate trial in America. Our namesake, Don Pedro Gilbert. Bad dude. So, let's go into what would have been the dining room. Now, you ate fish, coarse fish, because you could not get out here. There were no bridges until the middle of the 20th century, so you had to get out here by boat. And of course, fish was part of the diet. Sea grapes, you could pick those, but you had to boil them and make them to a jam or jelly. But they ate bear meat. of all things, and this is an actual bear trap from near Jensen Beach, Eden Lawn Plantation. But why were there bears over here on this barrier island? Well, they would swim over from the mainland, the panthers as well, to get turtle eggs. And they ate turtle eggs. And the keepers and Coast Guard ate turtle eggs too. That's part of their diet. So that was before they knew they were almost extinct. So, we do have a set of Mrs. Bessie's china. Mr. and Mrs. Bessie were keepers out here for a long time period in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Mr. Bessie was a boat builder on the side. You know, the keepers had a lot of time on their hands, so he built boats on the side. He actually built the boat, a 22-foot solid vessel for Mr. Stewart, our namesake. And so Mr. Bessie also had a pineapple plantation. Pineapple was the crop back in the day, in the early 1900s. However, when Flagler ran his railroad down to Miami, he was able to import Cuban pineapples 3 months earlier harvest, and so it destroyed the pineapple production in the area. That did not stop Mr. Bessie. He became a fishing guide, hence the selfish capital of the world. He was a fishing guide for none other than President Grover Cleveland. And Cleveland had a house here in Stewart, and Mr. Bessie took him out several times.
Is that house still standing?
I don't know if it is or not, but good question. A very good question. So, the last room would be the kitchen and how it would have been set up if you want to come in here, and then just have your run of the place until you're ready to leave. But they cooked on a stove similar to this. Lots of times, though, they cooked outside. And at that time, the keeper's time, there was not glass in the windows, there were screens. So that's how they got kind of a breeze in here as well. But if you sit out on the rocking chairs, you'll feel the breeze. Even this hot day, you can feel the breeze. So it's very, very nice. But let's see. This is actually an iron board. Anything they salvaged, they tried to make use of it. And they made an iron board out of the wood of the George's Valentine. So it's a pretty unique artifact. Now, let's see if anyone can tell me what this might be.
Vacuum?
Yes, you're right. I have tried. I think it's broke, but I can't imagine. I tried to vacuum up the rug. I'm like, I know this thing. I can't imagine. No. How long would it take you to vacuum something? But I mean, I guess that's all. If you stay at home, what else? Cook, clean. That kind of deal. So, but thank you for coming. We have a Ripley's, believe it or not, back in the gift shop. 2-headed turtle, taxidermied, not plastic. He lived 2.5 months, and so because they were doing research, they do an autopsy, and we have them there in the gift shop. So have fun, and if you have any questions, we'll be in.
I know you said the basement's closed, but how do you get down to it? Like where would they enter?
Well, you can go around the back here. There's a sidewalk, and there's also bathrooms back there in the far corner. But yes, we can enter it.
So it's not actually through the house they enter it?
Yes, right. Yeah, you have to go outside into it. Yeah. So you're so
Well,
welcome.
thanks.
Thank you for coming.
This is crazy. Wait, what is this? What about that Navy house thing? Can't we go in there? Dad. She said after the tour we can go in that Navy house thing. It's cold in here. Kind of. Y'all, it's like there's just one little layer, but I am freezing and I feel like there's something touching me. I'm freezing right now. Like, normally I'm never cold. Like, no matter what, I'm never cold. But like right now, I'm freezing. Y'all, I'm trying to like, if you see this stuff, you can pause and read. Yo, excuse me. Excuse me? Excuse me? Excuse me? Whoa, this is cool. What is this?
What?
Excuse
Right here, let me read it to you, okay?
No.
Mourning out is very popular in the Victoria era. Hair from deceased loved ones was frequently made into little tokens, jewelry, and horseshoe-shaped wreaths. As seen in this wreath, the person's hair was wrapped around a string of the wire formed into shapes, most frequently flowers. The physical reminder of loved ones meant that through they were no longer alive.
What is
The memory was preserved for generations to come. This wreath includes the hair of Miss William E. Rhea Rife, of keeper of the house 1903 to 1905, and they claim the lady haunts the place.
Well, I felt something touch me. Maybe. Excuse me. Looks creepy. Pictures of actual people. That looks like. Here, can we leave and go to the other thing?
Yeah.
How do we get out? What? What do they just expect you to not steal anything? These, I mean, I'm not saying I would. I know, but like, what if somebody does? Okay. Okay, so there's like a little washroom here. Ow, my head. I'll show you that.
The Georgia Valentine was a sailing ship, a three-masted Valentine.
Well, what's the stuff in the second?
When she was built 35 years earlier in Liverpool, England, she had a steam engine and auxiliary sails. Her name was Cape Clear, not George's Valentine. Cape Clear carried passengers and cargo between England and Australia for 20 years. She became the Valentine George's Valentine in 1889 when new owners renamed her and took out her steam engine. In 1904, the Italian company Mortola and Simonetti used the George's Valentine to transport cargo from Florida to South America. Her last voyage was typical. She carried lumber. And Captain Mortola sailed her through the Gulf of Mexico and the Florida Straits, bound for Argentina. But before he could sail south, Mother Nature changed her course. The wind blew her to the north. 3 days later, she was off Hutchinson Island, near Gilbert's Bar, House of Refuge. That fateful night when George's Valentine wrecked, the rain fell in sheets, winds knocked her broadside to the water. Captain Mortola fought the elements with everything he had to keep his ship away from the rocky shore, but there was nothing he could do to steer her to safety. The ship's stern hit reefing shallow water with an impact so violent that her three steel masts fell, killing one crewman. She broke apart shortly after that. Victor Erickson reached the House of Refuge first. For the rest of the night, he held a lantern to guide his shipmates to shore and to watch over Keeper William Ray as he led them to safety. Of the 12 men on board, only the captain and 6 crewmen survived. Each man had been dashed onto the rocks by hostile waves and struck by flying lumber and debris. In his report to the U.S. Life-Saving Service, Keeper Ray described the survivors as being bewildered, bruised, and bleeding, more dead than alive. Ray got medical treatment for the injured men. He gave them all clothing and made sure they had food, water, and shelter until they could travel. Had the George's Valentine stayed on course, she would not have been near Gilbert's Bar House of Refuge that long ago in October. But fate decided differently. Now, as a Florida underwater archaeological preserve, her remains are an important part of the coastal ecosystem refuge to many types of sea life. And her story is an important part of local and state history.
Crazy. Wait, what is
Welcome
this?
to Gilbert's Bar House of Refuge Museum.
Oh wait, I didn't get the
Part of
intro.
Historical Society of Hardin County.
Let's just do the intro.
If you came here for an exotic cocktail, you're out of luck. You see, Gilbert's Bar is rock in the ocean. But if you came to explore a historic house with a
We're
rich
just gonna
story,
look at the very
you're in the right
beginning.
place. Our story goes back millennia and includes the ancient Anastasia limestone on our beach.
To like,
The Aes tribe, who lived on this land until the 1700s. Jonathan Dickinson, who shipwrecked just south of here in 1696. A notorious pirate whose legend gave Gilbert's Bar its name. Ross Whipham, who ran a program here in the late 20th century to save sea turtles. But the star of the story is the House of Refuge itself, the oldest building in Martin County. When the house was built in 1876, shipping was the main way to transport goods, raw materials, even people. Many merchant vessels sailed the Atlantic along Florida's coast. But a mariner's job was dangerous. Foul weather, natural hazards like Gilbert's Bar, and onboard accidents claimed many lives. So the U.S. Life Saving Service formed in the early 1870s to save mariners and their ships. Many of its stations focused on rescue. Think about it. It was certain death for a sailor who ended up in the cold water off much of the U.S. coast or the Great Lakes. In Florida, however, stations focused on providing refuge. You see, Sumner Kimball, the head of the Life Saving Service, thought that if a ship wrecked here in warm water, its crew would survive and make it to land. Once they were on land, they would die. Why? Well, back then, Southeast Florida was what Kimball called a howling wilderness. This house of refuge was the only building around when it was first built. And fewer than 250 people lived in the area that now includes Martin, Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade counties. So once on land, shipwreck survivors would have no food, no water, no shelter from the relentless sun, swarming insects, and hungry animals, and likely no one to help them. Kimball planned houses of refuge to provide shipwreck survivors a place to shelter until they could return home. Between 1876 and 1915, keepers at Gilbert's Bar House of Refuge helped 45 survivors from 5 disastrous wrecks. Then, in 1915, the House of Refuge story turned a page when the government combined the Life Saving Service with another agency and gave them a new name, the U.S. Coast Guard. Gilbert's Bar House of Refuge became Coast Guard Station number 207, and its role changed to that of rescue, coastal defense, and a lot more. In World War II, Navy personnel also were here because German submarines were attacking ships all the way from Maine to the Caribbean. Some of those attacks happened nearby. Okay, enough video. You have a museum to see and a rich history to explore. We thank you for coming today and hope you enjoy your visit. Please let us know if we can be of help.
Let's go look at the downstairs. We ain't going there. And then let's go walk around the patio. And then sit and walk and see what we expect. I'll go back to the house.
okay. Excuse me. After this, I opened up the museum already. I might not take videos though. This is haunted. Excuse me. Y'all, can we talk this? Mountain County. Private. That's a bathroom. Oh wait, y'all, did you guys show y'all this? Okay, well, after we look at the downstairs, this is really all gonna be all. I thought this would be way different, but yeah. What is in here?
It's the basement.
Why don't you try and open it?
So we can't go in there.
I'll try and open it. I want to try and open it. Are there windows? No. Wait, y'all, is it unlocked? No, this one's locked, but there's another door over here. I want to see if it's unlocked. It's like pieces of wood. Like washed up onto. Maybe not washed up, but still. Wait, they're both locked. Just actually kind of sad. I want to see what else. But why can't there be windows? Damage because flooding. Wait, what is this? Oh, the Navy house. Ow, my head. My head hurts really bad. I don't know why. Like, it feels like somebody's punching me in the head. Dang. This is a fake. I'm under the tower. Okay, now this is a real bench. Oh, it's the memory of something. Oh my god, y'all can actually climb up there? That's crazy. What is this? Like, excuse me? Where's my daddy? Daddy! I don't know where my dad is. Luke. Well, that's pretty much everything. So, yeah. Peace. That's all.